Right, welcome everyone. Welcome to Disruptive Business Leadership. And as you know, we always enjoy the last episode of the month because we have a special guest with us who used to be part of this panel, and we've managed to coax her into joining us once a month. We wish it to be more, but we take what we can get, which is once a month. And Lynnaire, as you know, we're mad about you, and we love having you join us. But more importantly, what we've done for some time now is Lynnaire runs the last session of the month, which means that she's in the driver's seat. So welcome everybody. More importantly, Lynnaire, do you want to introduce the topic and then let everyone introduce themselves?
Sounds like a fabulous idea. Kia ora, everyone. It's lovely to be back with you again at the end of the month here in New Zealand and in Australia. It's already August. So if you're still in July in the United States and Canada, I assure you we do get to August in 2026. So thank you for having me back again. It is an interesting topic to talk about today, which is LinkedIn's role in the age of AI. And if we'd had this conversation earlier in the year, it would have been a very different one than it's going to be today, because a lot of change has happened with LinkedIn and AI this year. And in fact, there's been a big change just in the last 24 hours. So I will come back to that and tell you more about that in case you haven't caught up with that, but it's to do with AI slop. But the reason I wanted to discuss LinkedIn's true role in the age of AI today is because I think a lot of people still see it as a recruitment site. They still see it as a way to build networks, which of course it is, but they also have seen it as a way to bring in new business. But I think the role of LinkedIn has changed dramatically this year, and that's what I want to canvass our panelists about today, to ask them how they're seeing LinkedIn from their perspective. So thank you everyone for joining us, and always thank you to Meryl Cass, who's in the audience and make sure that people are invited to all of our events, including Disruptive Business Leadership. Always a pleasure to work with you, Meryl. Thank you so much. And so with that, let me allow everyone to introduce themselves, and we'll start with our usual host, Roy.
Thank you so much. My name is Roy Kowarski. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. I own a company called Out There Branding. And what I actually do is, as I assist small to medium-sized companies with their exhibition, trade show, event preparation. And the reason that I do this is because so many companies today want to be seen, heard, and remembered, but they don't really consider exhibitions and events as a place to do it. And when they start thinking in terms of it, they get frightened off because they're not sure what to do. And that's what I have, is I have a framework that works around assisting these small to medium-sized companies. But I particularly specialize in merch that matters. And that particular phrase, it says it all in my kind of world, because it's relational rather than transactional. So that's what I do. I assist companies with their exhibition preparation through merch that matters. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Roy. Mel, hello to New York. I can't hear you for some reason.
I also can't.
Thank you. Joining you today from the Adirondacks, and you'll hear a little bit of the outdoors as opposed to it being in the winter down under and across the ditch. It is kind of humid here, so you might hear birds in the background. My name is Mel. I'm a hybrid event conversion strategist, which means I inspire leaders and their dynamic teams to assess what is not working and to optimize your audience, your sponsor, and your ideal future client journey so that you rebuild emotional connections that will turn your attendees, your viewers into buyers or into ideal future clients. And grateful to join you again.
Thank you so much for being here. And Martin, I haven't been on a screen with you for ages, so it's lovely to see you today. And you're bright red. Tell us about you.
So Morning, everybody. I'm Martin Stark, the Courage Champion, and I started a new job this week. So I'm not going to tell you what I do, but I'll tell you what I do outside of work. And right now, I am editing a novel. I'm in the 10th edit of a novel called The Narcissist's Son, and I'm loving making it scarier, more thrilling for the readers. And yeah, so my plan is to have the novel finished by the end of the year. I've got an amazing editor, and I'm speaking my book already. So that's part of being on LinkedIn, is being able to raise awareness of my book, The Narcissist's Son, coming to you sometime in between now and 2035 in aisle 13.
Well, I do hope we'll see it before 2035, Martin, because it might make a great Christmas present for people, I imagine. So congratulations on getting so far with your book that you are at the editing stage. I know that it's a team effort when you write a book and it can take a long time, but I also applaud you for getting started on LinkedIn with it, because if I had my time over again before I published my first book, Linkability, I would have done the same. I would have made sure that I'd built an audience on LinkedIn first of all. So congratulations for doing that, and I think that's great news. And congratulations on your new job, by the way, whatever it might happen to be. Right. So my name's Lynnaire Johnston. I'm based in New Zealand, and I'm an executive visibility strategist. So that means I help senior leaders and professionals, business owners, to become more visible online. I do that mainly through LinkedIn, but in the age of AI, of course, that means it's going to be further afield than that now, because if you are wanting to be discovered by AI and surfaced in searches for your expertise, then I expect that people will now be thinking much more widely than LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is the second most cited source of answers to business questions asked of AI, and so it is an important platform for us to be on. Now, those of us who are on the panel are on LinkedIn in a big way. We are often posting, some of us more than others. We get involved with the new features, some of us more than others. And I would like to just frame the conversation today around the changes that there've been to LinkedIn this year. Now, usually there are a lot of feature changes on LinkedIn. In 2024, there were more than 250. Last year, 2025, there were over 150. Well, I think we'd be lucky to have seen 50 so far this year, but what we have seen have been quite monumental. Now, the kind of changes that we have seen are based around AI. LinkedIn itself has made sure that it is now being powered by AI rather than just the algorithms that we all know and love. But now it is all around how you are visible to both LinkedIn and to AI. And that is not only LinkedIn's AI, that is generally AI. So a big change in how people are using LinkedIn and how we need to be seeing it for ourselves. So yesterday I came across something that I thought was pertinent to our conversation today, which I wanted to spend a minute or so reading to you because I think it's important in terms of our conversation today. And it is around AI slop. So LinkedIn has announced a series of significant changes aimed at reducing what it's describing as AI slop. Now, while this may sound like another routine product update, I actually think it's much more than that, because it gives us a clear insight now into how LinkedIn sees its own purpose in the age of AI, which I would contend might not be the same as our own. Now, the headline isn't that LinkedIn is trying to stop using AI. In fact, that's explicitly what they're saying. That's not what they're trying to do, because they don't see AI and AI slop as the same thing, which is very positive. They're recognizing that many people use AI to refine their writing, and they don't see that as a problem. What they are targeting is low quality, inauthentic, mass-produced content that doesn't reflect genuine expertise or real professional experience. So to support that, LinkedIn's introducing stronger systems to detect automated activity and reduce the visibility of AI slop in suggested content, allow members to report posts that they believe feel inauthentic, and even provide private feedback in creators' analytics when readers perceive content as being overly AI generated. Now, all of those things are really important. They're also removing the current AI enhance your post feature, and that was one that was a premium feature, and replacing it with proofreading that improves grammar without changing the author's voice, alongside continued expansion of profile and page verification. And it's a whole other issue altogether. It's clear that authenticity, trust, and professional identity are becoming central priorities for the platform. So for me, this reinforces something that I've been talking about for some time, that LinkedIn is simply no longer a place just to publish content. It's becoming a platform that helps establish trusted professional identity, not only for other people, but increasingly for AI systems as well. So in other words, the goal isn't to publish more, it's to create a credible body of evidence that demonstrates who you are, what you know, and why others should trust your expertise. So this announcement gives us a great backdrop for our discussion because it supports the idea that LinkedIn's purpose is changing, and that change is being driven in large part by AI. So I'm very pleased we're talking about this today and not yesterday morning before I found out about this. And I would just mention that this information all came from a post that was put out by a LinkedIn product manager. Now, LinkedIn never announces changes itself, or very rarely. What it does do is it has the changes all posted by its staff, and this one was, I say, went up yesterday. So with that all in mind, because there are a lot of different things to unpack in that that whole statement, I want to start with our first round of panelist questions and take it back to helping everybody understand and recognize that LinkedIn's role has changed. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how LinkedIn has changed, the mistakes that we're seeing that people are making because they're not seeing those changes, and where the opportunities lie for all of us, including the panelists, into our areas of expertise. So we're going to start with Mel, because she, as she said earlier, is a hybrid event organizer, coordinator. I've missed the last bit of that. Strategist. I think strategist covers everything, Mel. So even if you're not, that's what you are to me. So let's start with you. And I want to know from you, please, when people are deciding whether to attend an event today, do they think they're checking out this? Do you think they're checking out the speakers on LinkedIn? Are they asking AI about them? Are they doing a bit of both? How are people using LinkedIn and AI when it comes to events?
I thank you for this. And I do organize my own events, but I'm so not an event planner, and conversion's my jam from the perspective of helping people increase the conversations we're having from an authentic level. So I thank you for this question. I'd suggest two ways. One would be I go to LinkedIn to look up every single event. I look up the hashtags, and especially, I'll give you an example of a conference. I was on a networking event thanks to an amazing invitation from Brenda Muller, who had joined as a panelist last month. And thank you again, Lynnaire, for helping us start building a really authentic relationship. And someone had a question. They were looking up a conference, and they're trying to figure out their rate as a speaker for the conference. But one of the things I suggested was on LinkedIn, I always look up hashtags. Now, people will say, do you still use hashtags? Every event I put up still has hashtags. I'm the teacher's kid, or as Merrill reminds me to say, the daughter from a scholar. And the hashtags always are a place mark or a bookmark for an event that's repeating, for ways to get in touch with previous speakers, ways to see who are previous sponsors, ways to start doing the research. And what I started laughing at was I had stopped using hashtags in searches on AI because I was working on a sponsorship project for a client. And the answer AI gave me, I knew was wrong on a soul level. I don't know where they got the data. I don't know who gave it. but they were just mentioning really large companies and the type of events they sponsor. There was no actual information there. So to me, I go to LinkedIn because I want to know who spoke last year. And when my clients are looking at it, who was the sponsor? Who maybe is someone that they're interested in meeting at an upcoming event? Now, people use LinkedIn and events to start pitch slapping attendees who sign up. That I would strongly recommend that people stop doing. You get an event, you are RSVP attending, and then people start using that list for lead generation. That's one thing that I would strongly recommend in an era of trying to build authentic connections and relationships, that we stop. I think there's the mix, but when you go to AI for a conference, when it tells you something and you know it's not right, really, you're not able to figure out the source sometimes. And that is an issue. If someone says they spoke at a previous conference, they sponsored a previous conference, you can find a conference program, a PDF, you can find an agenda. Be careful of the information I think I would suggest that you collect about events, because some people will use it to get a deposit from you for an event that doesn't exist and it's not going to take place. So that's the other side of, is this we would say, is this live or is this Memorex? I'm probably dating myself. But that would be some of the things I'm thinking of in terms of events and LinkedIn and AI.
Well, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think using LinkedIn for hosting events is a great way to do it. Obviously, you're talking about in-person events, but I think that if you are doing an event of any kind, then putting it on LinkedIn and inviting people to come along to it, whether it's actually LinkedIn Live or not, does make a lot of sense. Well, obviously, if it's a live, it's easier to run on LinkedIn, but increasingly I'm seeing people moving to other platforms for that, because of the difficulties that they are experiencing with LinkedIn, and also their overall enthusiasm for new platforms and new shiny objects. So that is something I think we need to keep in mind. But your mention of hashtags was an interesting one, and I've noted that because I'm going to go back and have a think about that one. Let's move on to Felipe. Hello, thank you for joining us this morning, Felipe, this evening for you. And you're in recruitment, so why don't you give us a brief update on what you're working on at the moment. And I've gotten a question for you as well, if that's all right with you, which is, if you're advising someone looking for a new role today, how would your advice about LinkedIn differ from what you would have advised 5 years ago? Actually, you could make that 2 years ago, or even 1 year ago. Things have changed so much. And how much of that change is being driven by AI?
Well, that's a great question, and thank you, Lynnaire. And hello, Roy and Mel and Martin. It's always great to join you all. And quick thing, my background, I've been doing recruitment for 25 plus years. It's really 30 years. I just say 25 plus, it sounds better. It's been in all industries, from hospitality to banking to nonprofits to IT and software. And with that question, what's fascinating about that question is my advice to how to reach out to recruiters or people that are hiring managers that post jobs hasn't changed.
Interesting.
What has changed is how to look for those opportunities, how to find those recruiters, how to find those hiring managers. That's the advice that, for me, I'm trying to tell people when I'm coaching them as a job seeker that I use this formula as a recruiter to find job seekers. So why not use it in reverse to find us? And the format is this: simply is use AI to help you search LinkedIn and Indeed without signing into your account, because that is against the LinkedIn terms. It will do its own search and put in those specific parameters. Make it at the high intelligence. If you have the paid version, you can use some of the other filters, but have it look for recruiters or jobs or companies that are hiring certain jobs in this area, that are looking to hire in this pay range, if they post pay ranges where you're at, that offer hybrid, put in all those specifics. You'd be shocked at how much comes through and how much comes back that you can actually then say, okay, now let me go to these places. And what's nice is when you go to those places, AI's got much better. They're actually there and they're active and they're posted. Or you can find them on LinkedIn. That's the magic right there, is that search used to take weeks. And now it can take minutes. And that time is where you need to use it to reach out to them and send them those customized, not AI written messages. Now, I'm fine with having AI grammar check, spell check, polish yours. And because the word polish specifically, it doesn't change your words. It just fixes it and may fix sentence structure. It may fix repetitive words. So, but when you use AI, and I think this is why LinkedIn removed it, to your point, Lynnaire, is that as a recruiter, I could always tell when someone used AI, especially when they didn't edit it, because the first sentence always started the same way. So I'd get hundreds and hundreds of wonderful messages, so eloquently written messages, but they all started with the same sentence. I'm like, you know what? I stopped reading it almost. And so I really think that that's the biggest change, is use it as a tool to help you search and find. Because look, in my job today, right now, I am dealing with hiring in Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, UK, Canada, and the US. I don't have the biggest presence in Puerto Rico. What did I do? I had AI search for candidates that had certain skills in Puerto Rico. It came up with those 5. I reached out to them, sent them a nice message, connected with them. All 5 of them connected back right away. And there's that relationship. So just do that reverse.
I like that idea. And of course, underpinning all that is, if you are the person who is looking for the job, you need to have a really good LinkedIn profile, because there's no point in the recruiter and reaching out to recruiters or people who are looking for new people, only for them to look at your profile and go, oh, no, I don't think so, thanks. Or you
at least a complete and up-to-date profile. It doesn't have to have like magical, decor or graphics.
Yeah, I think so. So I think that's a very important thing for everybody to have an up-to-date profile. And even the rules on that have changed just this year. But that's a conversation for another day. Thank you, Felipe. And let's move on to Roy. And you as an exhibition and conference strategist, let's talk about that. Do you think that the organizations getting the greatest return today are the ones that treat an event as the beginning of the conversation rather than the end? And where does LinkedIn fit into that?
Well, that's such a good question, because any of these exhibitions, events, conferences, trade shows, whichever way you look at, in fact, even any event, probably the single most important thing is to enter these events, exhibitions, whatever you want to call them, with a specific strategy as to what you want to achieve. And I think that's the key element that I see, businesses that are thinking in terms of exhibiting, that they don't really grasp that idea. They generally go in and say, we've decided we need a wider presence, bigger presence, so we're going to go to an exhibition. But they don't look at what it is that you want to achieve, because some companies go to exhibitions to launch new events, to launch new products and services. Some businesses go to exhibitions to get more visibility. There's so many different aspects. Then coming to where does LinkedIn fit into this? If you want to go to an event and you don't use LinkedIn as a means to share what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be doing it, inviting people, then you're missing a trick. So my business revolves around, assisting companies with their trade show exhibition preparation. So every single solitary Tuesday, I write a post about different exhibitions, what you can consider, what you should consider, why you should consider it, what are the angles you should come from, why does my framework fit in to assist different companies. So these are all the aspects that form part of what I do. But LinkedIn is a very key element in it, because that's where business people start looking at what you do. And I'm going to just throw this into the mix because I think it's crucially important, is that every single solitary time I work with a company, preparing them for trade shows, and last year at the business show, out of 250 stands, one of the stands that we built was awarded the top stand of the actual show. Now, here's my point. Not that I'm a genius. I am a genius, but I'm not going to talk about that now. But the point I wanted to make is that the minute somebody's happy with what you've done, grab a LinkedIn recommendation from them. Ask them for a LinkedIn recommendation. Because what takes place is when somebody says, I'm going to exhibit at a trade show exhibition, and then they say, why should I choose Out There Branding? They're going to choose us for a number of things. Number one, are we competent? Well, yes, we are competent because we've done hundreds of stands. And then the second thing they ask themselves, is this company creditable? And the way that credibility works is that in your recommendations, you can read what other people say about Out There Branding. And that for me is the key element. So that's why LinkedIn is such a crucial part and such a crucial cog in what I do. I hope that makes sense.
It certainly does, and I'm a great fan of recommendations on LinkedIn, and for a new reason that perhaps people aren't aware of. If you're a premium user of LinkedIn, you can add individual recommendations to your featured section. Now, LinkedIn has just recently made changes to the display of featured sections, and they now look utter rubbish. It's very hard to get an image that seems to be the right size to be able to fill the space up. Actually, this is also applying to posts on our activity page as well. However, in the featured section, if you add a recommendation from the bottom of your profile, it does still look good, which is one of the small miracles, given LinkedIn is tinkering around with how our profiles look at the moment, and to my mind, not in the best possible way. But that's another thing, another story for another day, and let's hope they fix that one. Now, moving on to Martin and storytelling. You just started today's show by telling us that you are editing your new book, The Narcissist's Son. And so I wanted to know about storytelling on LinkedIn, because with the way AI has impacted our content this year, and we are all now trying to write posts and articles that appeal to AI as well as to human readers, it would seem to me that it's become more important, because we also still want to get to human readers, and humans love a good story, Martin, as we all know. So how important is this AI business when it comes to storytelling, and how are you seeing it being used?
I'm seeing AI destroy LinkedIn in communication, in stories. As somebody who's been lurking for the last 6 months, I just see stuff and I'm like, why am I here? Because I'm missing out on the stories and connections with people who I want to be connected with and who I'm close with. And it misses the magic of storytelling. Where do your customers, prospects see themselves in the story? Now, there's always more to a story, and that's the point. People want more to a story. Like last year, you caught up with Roy in Auckland. Now, what we don't know, and Mel and Felipe, I'm sure, are excited to hear that Roy and our good friend Lynnaire did a tandem mountain biking holiday of New Zealand. Started in Auckland. They went to R13, picked up Kowarski yellow washing powder, cycled all the way down to Wellington to Kowarski supermarket R13, and got their new Lynnaire, Roy, Pavlova, and then cycled all the way down to Dunedin, and they came up with this new protein powder, and that Roy has actually been called up for the Australian Olympics to be the marathon runner because of his miraculous recovery. Now, could you imagine yourself being the extra? It wasn't a tandem. I don't know what it's for. Imagine the extra person on that tour, the conversations. And that's my point. Do you imagine the journey you want to take people on? Do they want to be invited to the conversation? Do they want to have their intrigue piqued to go, yep, I want to go to R13 and get one of those new magic pavlovas, which solves the question, who created the pavlova first? Kiwis or Australians? It was a collaboration. And that's the point. It's a collaboration. Do you want people to collaborate with your business? Do you want them to be your customer? Do you want them to work for your organization? Do you want to be part of that organization? AI can't do any of that for you. AI can help you with that. But at the same time, if it comes across that AI is the one doing the talking, then what I've seen on LinkedIn, that's what's happening. AI is doing the talking. And I don't know if you heard the news this week about Anthropic, their Claude tool. What's one thing they kept hidden? They were buying books, rare books, destroying them, scanning them, and uploading them into the system so that it can train its tools to become better storytellers. And I don't think AI will ever replace the magic of human stories. And don't allow magic to be lost because you're using AI on LinkedIn.
And don't give away your books either.
No.
Make sure you keep your own library of books if that's going to be rolled out wider, which is there's so many sub-conversations going on today. Honestly, we could be here all day, which is a good thing it's the morning for us because we could stay all day, but you guys probably got to go to sleep sometime. So thank you, Martin. I will never agree that there was collaboration on the Pavlova. I think it was straight out theft, but let's move on from that because I think you've made it very clear that a couple of points there that LinkedIn is making life more difficult generally for people who want to be using AI and AI well. And I would definitely agree with that because I found myself doing the same thing this week, was making a judgment call on whether somebody had written an AI post, and it was a collaborative post. I've been experimenting this week with the new collaborative post, which I just got for the first time. And so someone had written a post that they were going to ask me to collaborate on, and I picked up the fact that it had been, which she'd used AI for this. And in actual fact, when I asked her about it, she said she had not. She had written it all herself. And that, I think, is the issue. If we are, as humans, unable to tell what is AI generated and what is not, then it's going to be very difficult for LinkedIn's own systems to do that under this new process that they are talking about.
Yeah, Lynnaire, I'd just like to add that LinkedIn used to have collaborative articles, which was training their LLM, and they were giving out these orange badges, these community top voice badges. So I would be very wary of the collaborative things given LinkedIn's track record.
Yes, it's working in an entirely different sort of a way, and I've got high hopes for it. In fact, Martin. So fingers crossed that I'm right on that, but time will tell. As I say, I've only had it for a week, and then they removed it for 48 hours. So I'm a bit behind my own experiments on it. But so far, so good. Except the thing I can tell you is this: that it's not boosting reach at all. I had thought that because it was a new feature, and LinkedIn tends to boost new features with a bit of additional visibility. It is not happening with these at present. Maybe it's just too early in the day, or maybe seriously LinkedIn has gone right off me, because it sure seems like that. So let's move on to our next round of questions, and we'll go back to Mel again. And this is a round all about mistakes. What mistakes are we seeing people make using LinkedIn and AI? So Mel, in your capacity with events, what mistakes are you seeing speakers or event organizers still making when it comes to LinkedIn before an event? What are they missing?
I appreciate this opportunity because this is something I discovered in your amazing linkability community. One of your members had a question about hashtags, and it helped me use them for a current event project. And I do feel from the AI perspective, if you're looking for the source, try to add a hashtag to the search. It'll bring up some historical data, not just necessarily the current data. I have a client who I'm delighted to work with on their local conferences. This is the 17th year that we've been working with them. Now, those of us who have been on LinkedIn more than a minute, we can go back 17 years and see which speakers used their hashtags and attended their events 17 years ago. It'll change, it can change if when you use it as a tool, especially on LinkedIn, it can change the impact of your event. And many are always talking about returns on investment. Well, I'm a finance major. I talk about returns on energies and engagement. If you're trying to increase engagement with events, you need to look sometimes at the data or have a team member who's looking at the data, because the historical perspective is important. I think the thing that's interesting about AI, when I was using it to look up a conference for a client recently, was I was shocked that AI got it wrong. It means no one has put in the data. When the question came up in your community, I looked up the hashtag returns on energies and engagement, and my name came up under AI. So I think the reminder that anything you're using in an article, in a blog, on a website, on YouTube, that cross-reference occasionally, we never know who's looking at what. You know, people will say, go to Reddit or go to, Answer the Public, but go to the place where you can find the most data. Next year will be my 20th year on LinkedIn. I go there first.
That makes sense. And the reason that hashtags came up again in conversation recently was because of their use in terms of AI. So you'll probably be aware that there's a running argument, a bit like Pavlova really, about hashtags and their value. Some people say yes, use them. Some people say don't, and that they have no value at all. But where they are currently being talked about as being useful is when you are writing a post, if you add 3 hashtags, and that number is important, at the end or really anywhere in your post, that those hashtags get added to the URL. And so when Google is indexing those posts with those hashtags in the URLs, so in the URL, it makes a big difference in being found, which is what Mel is just talking about. So if you are posting and not using hashtags, have a think about adding 3 hashtags at the end so that you do get found and those hashtags do come up in the URL. It might make it a lot easier to be found by AI.
One teeny little thing, Lynnaire, I also think we're building relationships. We're trying to build genuine, lasting relationships. We're not trying to build the algorithm. And that, human to human, we talk about this all the time in all of our conversations. Human to human, we need to be able to see each other. And we don't see the algorithm. The algorithm's not at our holiday dining table. We're not inviting it to Felipe's children's upcoming weddings. It's not on the guest list. So I think, from that perspective, human to human, we need to keep it eye level. And anything that does that would help.
Agree. All right. Thank you for that addition. That makes a lot of sense to me. Moving on to Felipe now, and the biggest mistakes that job seekers are making on LinkedIn, which could actually be holding them back in an AI-driven world. What have you got around that, Felipe?
Before I share that, I just want to say thank you, Lynnaire, for giving me my one thing that I learned today. Because again, I always tell people we learn something new every single day. And every time I learn something new, I always make a point of telling my family, like, there's the new thing I learned today. And recommendations. I did not know you could pin those onto the featured section. I just went to it. I couldn't find it in the recommendations. Like, wait, I can't do it. And then I went to the featured section and realized you do it through there. So thank you for teaching me that. That is the one thing I learned. Well, I hope I learned more than just one thing sometimes. All right. So biggest mistake that LinkedIn users are doing when they are looking for jobs with AI. And this is, again, a different answer than I would have given a year ago. Start listing AI as a skill on your resume and on your LinkedIn profile. Because the reality is I'm working for a company now, 2,200 employees we have. Every single job description is now putting having AI experience, fundamental, intermediate, advanced, doesn't matter, but having some of those levels is a requirement of the job. And it's one of those things where people are so scared. What I want to encourage people that are listening is, look, I've had 2 companies now that have been all in on AI, and they've been all in on teaching the staff on how to use AI. We just went through a survey on what's everyone's level at, and next week we're releasing, here are all the different trainings, starting at I don't know nothing to you're advanced and want to be challenged, and everything in between. And I think that's what I don't want people to be. I want people to know that there are companies out there realizing that they need to do that. So start doing your own learning now. Add it on your skills as a resume, on your resume and on your LinkedIn profile, because if you don't, you might get passed over now. It's getting to that point now where it's not, oh, you stand out because you have it. It's, oh, you stand out because you don't have it. And the other thing that they're making a mistake on is what we've always been saying. It's nothing new. Will you edit the freaking results of the AI? Read it, edit it, and then send it. Okay? I don't know how many times we've got to say this, but for Lord's sake, please hear us this time. Read it, edit it, and then send. Don't send and then realize you should have edited it and then feel guilty about it. All right, get off my high horse. I'm done.
Well, that's a very important point, and it's not just about your CV or what you might be doing in terms of job seeking. All of us need to be doing that. We need to be editing what AI comes up with before we post it or before we put it on our LinkedIn profiles. And I think that is something that if we are not doing, that is a mistake. You've also, I just want to reiterate something that you said there about adding AI as a skill to your LinkedIn profile. I think that's really important. You know, it will become ubiquitous. Nobody writes that they do as a skill Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel because we all expect everybody to know how to use these tools. But right now, it is something that people want to know whether you are competent in. So I think that's an important point to have made, Felipe. So thank you very much for that one. Now, Roy, back to you and misconceptions for organizations that they have around LinkedIn when they're investing in conferences and exhibitions. And I use the term investing because if you have a stand at a conference or at an exhibition, it's not exactly cheap. And if you're going to be putting some money into this, you want to make sure it's going to work and work well. So my question really is, where does LinkedIn fit into that? And are companies even considering LinkedIn as part of this? And if not, why not?
Well, if I can say, most companies that are going to exhibitions don't even think that LinkedIn plays a role in it, and they make a big mistake with this. So in my particular set of circumstances in my business, my framework includes, in fact, we had a conversation on just this week and on one of my other podcasts, which is branding strategies, around omnipresence from all different angles. And so if you're going to an exhibition, one of the big misconceptions is you only have to show up at the exhibition. Wrong. It's before the exhibition that you got to prepare this whole thing. Number two, at the exhibition, you have to have a strategy. What is it that you want to achieve? A super little example. Do your staff know what the outcome of the exhibition is for the company? Because if they don't know, how are they going to convey to visitors to your stand perspectives if they don't know what you want to achieve? So this is why LinkedIn plays such a significant role, because what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to introduce what you're doing on LinkedIn before the event. And when you start seeing engagement, those are the people to send invitations to. So there's so many areas that LinkedIn can assist you. And And if we're talking in terms of AI, it's got a significant role to play, because if you want to make sure where you are finding your audience, why they're coming to you, you can use LinkedIn and AI at the same time. And I'm going to just lean into the aspect that Felipe raised. Don't just throw it into ChatGPT and hope and pray it's going to give you a result. Read it, exactly what Felipe said. Read it and see where you can change it. What are the human involvement changes that you can make to make it more user-friendly, to make it more effective? But to answer your question, the misconception is that many companies don't use LinkedIn effectively to be able to get the event seen, heard, and remembered before the event. That's the crucial time to get people to know this is what we're doing, this is where we're exhibiting, this is why we're exhibiting, and this is why you should come and visit us. So, as you can hear, I'm pretty passionate about this because I see it. I see how seldom companies lean into the use of LinkedIn to be able to promote the events before the event. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
You do that, Roy, because I heartily agree with you. You know, we see an awful lot of posts on LinkedIn, which I just absolutely loathe, which are not AI generated. They begin, we're proud to have hosted an event, or we all went to this fabulous conference, and look at us all standing in a row in this lovely photo and smiling nicely. Never anything of real substance. And I think company pages are missing a trick by not making sure that they are being used before an event, during an event, and after an event. And if everybody could please stop putting up those posts about how thrilled we are, how delighted we are, I would be very thrilled and delighted. So thank you so much.
I wonder if I could maybe just add a particular point, because Leslie's just put in the chat, she said, wow, that's stunning. LinkedIn not part of an exhibition strategy. It has to be. And that's the misconception. That's where the failure comes. And I'm using that strong word, failure. That's where the failure fits in. Because so many people will put a post up to say, we had a wonderful time at the exhibition. Have a look at the fun we were having. You've missed the trick. The trick is to get there before the event on LinkedIn and to tell people what you're going to do. What are you going to do on the stand? Why should people come to you? I mean, it's like a golden opportunity that's missed.
I think there might be a collaborative post with you and I on that one, Roy, to take that one a little further. So before you say anything else, I'm going to move on to Martin, because otherwise we may stay on that topic for the rest of our hour. So Martin, mistakes in storytelling on LinkedIn. And I think this is a useful one because we do need to be telling stories on LinkedIn. And I'll put my hand up that I'm not very good at this. So what are the kind of mistakes that you're seeing that people are making that we could be improving on?
So I just want to loop in Jay's photo, Superman. We all know Superman was from a planet, and kryptonite makes him want to go to R13 and buy all the boxes of Kowarski washing powder, because we know the background to the story. And my comment here is, if your story starts to deviate, a book may have 12 chapters, but you need to read all 12 chapters to get the story. It is not, unless it's a short story book, it is not telling you 12 different stories. It is telling you one story. So just make sure there's an alignment in your story. People may not see your post for a month. You may be doing posts daily, but if they see one of your posts every month, are they getting a consistent message, or are they going to be, oh my goodness, he's talking about this a day. Oh, that happened to them. Oh, they're doing this now. So is there consistency in the story? Because if not, it will just fade into the background.
Consistency in storytelling. Well, that's not something that had occurred to me. So thank you for raising that. I shall give that one some thought, because I don't think I do that on either. Oh, the number of mistakes I'm making is mounting as I talk to everybody. So thank you so much for all your contributions on that one. And our final round is about where we see the opportunity. So this is the opportunity that LinkedIn can help us with in terms of all of our work. Now, we all operate in different industries. industries. And I think that there'll be some fascinating ideas from here about how LinkedIn can use AI, or AI and LinkedIn working together. We can be seeing how things could be done better for us all. So I'm asking in this round for you to look into your crystal balls and talk about where you see things going. So Mel, if we had this conversation again in 2 years' time, what do you think would have changed the most about the way people choose which events and which speakers they invest their time in?
My shortcut, if I'm having my event crystal ball, and how you can cultivate trust in a fragile AI world, is take a shortcut. Follow hashtag Felipe's 5. Felipe is showing us, as a professional, as a parent, as a bilingual speaker, as someone with HR expertise, how to align your event presentations across platforms. If we were going, as Martin would say, into aisle 13, well, there's 12 aisles before aisle 13, and there's all sorts of other displays and places. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket in aisle 13. Felipe models this in a way, whether it's sharing a post with stories, whether it's sharing a short, whether it's sharing a clip of when he's a speaker as an event. If you're a speaker at an event, I can't tell you what Felipe's speaker one sheet looks like, but I can tell you there's lots of reels and samples. When you're attending an event, just like Roy said, think of the before the event, the during the event, the after event. It's not just a one-off. It's not just a dice roll. You're not just playing one game. You're trying to hopefully create ideal opportunities and trust opportunities, and I think that's the part for events. It's specific to an industry, to a target market, to a message, and sometimes to a presentation. And when Roy was mentioning before about people not looking on LinkedIn, people at their local chambers are assuming that they're going to do business just with the people that they saw at the last chamber meeting. They're not thinking of the new members who just joined. They're not thinking of prior members. And it's a great way to stay in touch, and you can build relationships in your own style and within any time constraint and any budget constraint by kind of aligning and realigning those strategies.
And if people are looking on AI for, say, speakers or events to attend, if you haven't been on LinkedIn talking about it, then you're reducing your opportunities to be the person or the event that is surfaced by AI and then recommended. And let's go back to this fact that LinkedIn is either the first or second most cited source of answers to business questions asked of AI. And I will keep repeating that until I am proven wrong or there is a new stat to tell you about, because that has come from multiple different surveys and research reports. So I think it's very important that if we are on LinkedIn to remember that this is going to help us to be found by AI. Now, I will get off my soapbox and ask Felipe, looking ahead, what will become the biggest differentiator between professionals who thrive in the AI-influenced job market and those who struggle, Felipe?
Well, that's a great question, Lynnaire, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Melanie for the kind words. That you fill my heart. I'm going to the weekend with just feeling great, so thank you for that. So here's the thing that I think about the future. Those that are going to stand out are those that are using AI regularly as a tool, but they're still showing that human side of themselves. And this is what I mean. When I told you earlier at the beginning of the show that I had used it as a recruiting tool to reach out to 5 people in Puerto Rico and get them, and they all 5 connected with me. Now, I'll be honest. I told the people at my job, I said, they probably connected with me because, my top voice badge, they probably gave me some credibility, whatever. After talking to all 5 of them, do you know what the constant thing they all said was? They saw my personal post and realized that I was a real person. I wasn't They saw the human side of me. They saw me as not a recruiter, not as a professional HR person, not as possibly an AI. They saw the human. They saw my son. They saw, me cheering about goal. They were really happy about the soccer goal. But the point is that I think was very eye-opening for me. I don't get me wrong. Thank you, LinkedIn, for the top badge. Love it. Don't take it away, please. But the fact that wasn't what convinced them to connect with me. It was the fact that I was showing my professional side, but I was showing something that resonated with them. So I think when you're using AI regularly, don't use it as a mask too much, because people are going to start thinking, I don't know the real person behind the mask. So make sure that you are showing, if you're showing images of AI, show some images of you without AI and make it obvious that's not. Because I see people trying to use AI to make themselves look better. I'm talking about use AI, cartoonize yourself sometimes, or put AI, as a scenery, but don't mask yourself. Let them see the human side of you. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, is people that go all in on AI and use it too much without using it as a tool only. And the last thing I'll say is this: when you're getting results back from AI, here's my thing about mistakes. If you are not arguing with AI, you're not using it right. Because you should be like, no, I want this. I'm looking for this. Like, that tells me if you're arguing with the AI, you're looking at it, you're reading it, and you're analyzing it the way you want it. You're not just taking the first draft it gives you. So argue with AI. Sorry.
I agree with that. I've been working on a project to assess company pages recently, and there was a lot of spirited discussion, shall I say, around that during that process, when I didn't agree with the language that it was using, or the connotation of words was different for what I was trying to get across. And I agree. It's a conversation partner, I think, these days. You don't just prompt it anymore. I think the word prompt should be taken out of everybody's AI vocabulary. It is more around a conversation, depending on which LLM you're using, of course. But I have great conversations with my AI, and as I say, we don't always necessarily agree, which is a good thing, I think. Now, who's next? Oh, yes, right. Roy, you're up next in terms of how you think organizations will stand out over the next few years, what they're going to be doing differently on LinkedIn that most people aren't doing today. And we'll just go away and, read War and Peace while you're talking about this, because I expect this will be a bit of a long answer.
It won't be that long, because I know that. Felipe, please don't do that to me. No. I think you just cracked him up there, Lily. I'll try and keep it brief. Thank you for that very, very good prompt. It wasn't even an AR prompt. How's that? So I think the key element going forward has to do with planning and the strategy. It's so simple. Have a strategy in place. So the strategy that is important is, what do you want to achieve at the exhibition? What are you hoping to achieve? Who's your dream clients? What do they look like? And then use LinkedIn as a means to share your strategy before the event, during the event, and after the event. And I think that's where the simplicity of it actually is if you have a plan and it's a clear plan, then make sure that you convey all aspects before the event, during the event, and after the event. Now, in my case, I run a very active LinkedIn company page, Out There Branding. So what I do is I send the message out on my personal page, and then I share it across to my company page. And then I share what's on the company page back to the personal page. And when I comment on people's posts, I remind them to go and look at my company page. So this is the key element, and I'm going to leave it there. Strategy and plan before, during, and after.
I like that idea, Roy, and you and I are going to have a conversation later on about extending that idea with your company pages to collaborating with your company page and do collaborative posts, which is something I had a try of this week. I think you might find that will be quite useful for you as well. And finally, Martin, as AI makes information easier to produce, what do you think will make one professional story, stand out from another?
AI itself was making headlines. OpenAI and Claude are the world's best hackers.
Oh, yes.
And my point here is we've had so many hacks about the algorithm, so many hacks about selling, so many hacks about this. But the best hack was always the journalist with the amazing story. And the best story you can share is your own story. And however you do that, don't allow AI to change that, but use it in a way that makes it more meaningful. I love that we're now seeing more captions on our videos, and AI is enabling us to share captions in a very simple way. So use the technology on the principle of technology helping humans, not the other way around, where technology helps humans and does all out of a job, a living, and an opportunity. Flick it around. You first, technology second.
I like that idea. You first, human first, technology second. That's a very good note to finish on with this discussion. We've gone in a lot of different directions today, my fellow panelists, and lots of other discussions that we could have on the back of this. So I'm looking forward to being able to follow up with each of you about that, because I do think that there is a role for events like this to be turned into collaborative posts. As you all know, I've been a great fan of repurposing content since AI made it so much more feasible to do so. And I'm now having a rethink about that on the basis of these new collaborative posts and how we might be able to use those. So you will be hearing from me. So I would just like to take this opportunity to say thank you to our panelists. Thank you to everybody who has watched and listened to us live today. Thank you to Meryl Cass for always being there and supporting our events. And thankfully, Roy invites me every month to host these events, and I am very grateful for that opportunity, Roy. So thank you once again, and I look forward to seeing you all back here again next month. And now Roy will tell us what we're going to be discussing next month, I imagine.
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you, Lynnaire. We get our biggest audience when you come and join us. You do know that?
I didn't know that, no.
Yes, every single month, the biggest audience we get is when you join us. So there's something that we can learn from. And whether it's AI or human, that's the reality.
Oh, well, I wish I knew what the secret was.
It's you. You are the secret sauce here.
Well, thank you.
So I wanted to particularly thank the rest of the hosts. And obviously, you're so well prepared with your questions and the directions you take it in and how specific it is to each individual. That's why you are the master that you are. And I also wanted to just reach out and thank Meryl for all that he does for us, the master connector, I call him. And of course, Leslie as well, Leslie Flowers, that uses her carousel to advertise all our events. It's absolutely awesome. So the last thank you goes to the audience, to people that show up. Some people come and join us for 5 minutes. Some people come and join us for 1 hour and 2 minutes. And for that, we're very, very grateful. And what we're more grateful for is the fact that people write comments into the chat. This is an absolute source of gold for us, because what it does is it enables us to see that people are interested in the topic and that they share particular aspects. So lastly, because it is already August for Lynnaire, Martin, and myself, the theme topic for August is going to be listening. Listening, yeah, that's correct. Yes, listening, yes. And as you can well imagine, in this day and age, listening plays a key role in many, many parts of our world, business-wise, personally, in every aspect. So listening is going to be the theme for August. And of course, we've got 4 weeks, and we look forward to having you with us. So thank you for joining us once again to Disruptive Business Leadership. Wishing you all a super, super weekend. And we'll see you next week, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another session of Disruptive Business Leadership. Have a good weekend.